think we want to make it look like it was always there, or it was there
And this
from
is
the early
possible to
1900s.
do.
It was in addition done in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
That may be the goal that we really want to try to achieve.
I'm sure there are lots of photographs around, because PNEA has a wonderful archive.
Okay.
Marie, anything to add?
Not looking forward to seeing some of your plans that you've come up with for it, and I'll be happy to give my input at that time.
Okay.
I think you'll complement the site, and it would be nice if there's any type of salvaging materials that we can use that you can incorporate on the site, on the addition. I don't know locally if we have anything that could contribute to that. Just a thought, as this discussion was going down the table, that might be a nice thing to complement it.
Okay.
Meaning, actual vintage items that might be around the area or in the town. I don't know of any, but it might be a call of order to that. And if you can incorporate it, it works for you, and that would be a nice feature.
Okay.
I think in my mind, the most important thing is that we don't lose the presence of the building that we have now, or it does not become, or the character of it, and it does not become overwhelmed by an addition that
Oh, I
speaks
agree.
louder than what we have there now. So that's
Absolutely
the
not,
concern.
yeah. We don't want to do that.
Mhm.
Well, would it be possible for me to get on the agenda for the next meeting, and I could bring some plans in, our architect as well, and we'll do some work between now and then, and hopefully we'd be in a position to show you some things and get some feedback, and I'd like him to be here with us so that he can get the direct communication and sense of directions that we should go.
Sure. Our regular meeting, and we actually will talk about this at the end, but I don't assume we're going to change it. Our normal meeting is the second Monday. So whatever the second Monday of December is, don't have a calendar in front of me at the moment. We normally also meet at 7:30. We made this meeting early because there's a lot of different items on the agenda. Is it the 10th?
Yes.
So unless you hear from me otherwise, you can assume December 10th at 7:30. And we can certainly put you on the slot at the beginning again, just to kind of get everything covered. But I think the most important message here is that as long as it isn't something that contrasts too badly with the building, as long as it isn't something that overwhelms and changes the character of the building or the site, I think you've got a pretty wide berth.
Okay.
And I think if we can incorporate some of Pat's and Tommy's ideas into it, as you're open to, which is great for us, I think we have a lot of good opportunities to actually make things better,
Okay.
rather than just different.
Good. Yeah, that's what my hope would be.
And then if there's any need for iteration, we'll meet the second Monday through the winter. So depending on how many changes we need to look at, depending on what your process is, I'm sure that we can finish that through the course of the winter and the spring, so that whether you're looking at a spring, a summer, or a fall building cycle, it shouldn't be much of a problem.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for coming in.
See you in a couple weeks.
Okay, sounds great. And if you need to call me for anything in the meantime, feel free.
Okay.
Take care. Okay. Switching gears again, as we'll be doing a lot this evening. We're going to switch at this point to our educational part of the evening. I'd like to invite the representatives of the school committee and the superintendent to talk to us about the situation of the portables in our annual discussion. Sitting on the side, we can pull up a few chairs in the middle, people can stand it. It really doesn't matter, I just don't have too many seats up front at the moment, but feel free to bring a few seats if that's helpful. Oh, thank you. Just so you know, this is actually Phase B of the discussion. There's two parts of the portable discussion.
I'm shy.
You can sit wherever you'd like, Stephen.
I'll sit with Jerry.
Jerry.
Do I want to do that, though?
Oh, we need, excuse me.
Short one?
We need one more.
Is there one more in the handout, please?
Replanted.
Okay, great. So let's open up the discussion first on the annual discussion of the existing situation, which would be the proposal for a one-year extension for the portables. Would you like to start?
Certainly starts as we all know, but probably most of the public doesn't, approximately 5-6 years ago, the school committee came before the Historic District Commission for a request for a certificate of hardship to put modular classrooms at Bachelor School. That request was granted, and it was granted in the form of a 4-year approval with the provision for the school committee to come to the Historic District Commission on an annual basis for 2 years on extension. We are in the first year of that extension, or the 5th year of the modulars being on the bachelor property. As you know, we came to the Historic District Commission last January, and you approved this current 2001-2002 school year. So our first request is for your approval of the last year of that original agreement, year 6, for the 2002-2003 school year. So that's request 1.
Okay.
Do you want me to go on to request 2, or do you want to handle them separately?
Well, I think that at some level, and I'm going to ask the commission members for their view as well, my feeling is that we've been treating this, because of the positive working relationship between the school committee and the Historic District Commission, as something somewhat perfunctory. The understanding is that there is a need educationally for these things to be there. There was an understanding that the need for up to 6 years was something that was relatively assumed as needed, if you will. So I think it's probably best, if you're comfortable, that we address that, get that behind us, and then discuss all of the issues around where the elementary school situation is today, because I think that's a longer discussion.
That's fine.
Does anyone on the commission object to that?
It's fine.
So with that, can someone make a motion?
Just-
I would like someone to please move that we grant the final year
I will
extension.
move that we grant the final year extension for the school year of 2002 to 2003 for the continued occupancy of the site by the modular units.
That are currently there.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous approval on the final year of the existing agreement.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Issue 2. School committee met last night, and as you all know, at this current time, we have an elementary school building committee in a conceptual design phase, funded by town meeting, to look at addition and renovation to the bachelor school site, as well as geotechnical engineering work at the Swan Pond site. We expect the school building committee was in receipt of proposals yesterday on an RFP for an architect to look at those conceptual designs of the batch. Hence, going back to the discussion 6 years ago, when it was believed that there would be light at the end of our tunnel and your tunnel, as far as the trailer staying on the batch site, we currently have, there isn't light at the end of the tunnel yet. We hope that that is coming. But we are committed, the school committee is committed to follow through with this process.
in light of that, what we have done this year is a redistricting of children out of the bachelor school, including kindergarten and spot redistricting of first grade, 14 first grade students out of the batch to the Little and the Hood School. It was all in the paper, wasn't pleasant, still has problems. We have some busing problems because of it. And we are looking at this point to request a 2-year extension of that 6-year agreement. Now, we discussed it last night, and there was a couple of ways that the school committee could handle it in making that request. Either an extension of the current certificate of hardship agreement, or a complete new request. And we felt that requesting an extension was probably just as easy for us and for you. It ended in the same result. Also, in conjunction with this, the school committee has put together with the superintendent a redistricting committee that has looked at many options as to future redistricting of elementary school children out of the bachelor building, pending some light at the tunnel as to complete our elementary school building project. And with your permission, through the superintendent, I'd like the superintendent to introduce the redistricting committee, and they have a presentation to show you. You have the paperwork in front of you that explains exactly the process that they've gone through. And there are 2 major issues with decisions that the school committee will have to make. One, and it's on a matrix that's in that handout, one is dependent on permission from the Historic District Commission for those trailers to remain on site through the 2005 school year, and funding of additional modular classrooms at the December 3rd special town meeting, and a subsequent override, debt exclusion override. So there's a 4-box matrix in there. And, they will explain to you and go through the whole process that they looked at as to our options in redistricting children through through June of 2005, which would be the 2004-2005 school year. So, with your permission.
Please proceed, thank you.
Dr. Turner.
Superintendent, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. As Mrs. Colella indicated, it's been my task since last spring to really move forward for the intermediate future to plan for the educational needs for our elementary children. Keeping in mind that the enrollment growth will continue, we're still experiencing the need to add additional classrooms and programs at our elementary level. Approached this in 2 phases. Last spring, recommended to the school committee after a month of study that for this September of school year 2001-2002, that all of the bachelor kindergarten children, 85 children, would be redistricted out of the batch to the Hood School. That was a very, very difficult task to complete, particularly for children and their families. It has uprooted a whole number of children and their families where, at least for their kindergarten experience, they'll be beginning their education in a different school. Our hope is that we will be able to return the batch students to the bachelor school for the first grade and the remainder of their schooling, because we want them to be with their older brothers and sisters, and we're trying to keep the families at least intact and to keep the semblance of what we call a school